my brain as well. Like people keep mentioning it, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about it now. Like even leading up to me beating Ricky South for the heavyweight title, a few people were like, oh, you might be the first ever female champion. I'm like, yeah, but what about this is my first time winning it. Like I am an individual as well. Like Jessica Troy is winning the title. I'm not just a women's wrestler. I'm not just this number, not just this like statistic or cool fact. What about me? Like, yeah. So it's cool for it to be a bit more normalized now, especially within PWA, because I think they are really they're really good at doing stuff like that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Astrid Asks here with myself, Astrid, and my special guest for today is Jessica Troy. How are you, Jessica?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm still adjusting, like I said, to like thinking about the fact that we're different time zones and it's a different day for you than it is for me.
It's really weird. Yeah, completely different times.
Yeah, so yeah, it's something that I'm definitely not used to. I figured we're gonna be diving a little bit into yourself, so I figured I will start from the beginning for the people that are first viewers of Astrid Asks. Start from how you started to where we're going to be coming up soon. That you have something else to let us know about. So, to start from the beginning, I wanted to get to know you a little bit better on your background in wrestling. So, did you have a particular moment or particular person perhaps that inspired you to pursue professional wrestling?
I started watching it when I was about 10. So that would have been like 2006 kind of era. So I remember watching DX a lot. They were really cool. I watched it casually and then I really got into it a few years later. And I really enjoyed watching people like CM Punk, Jeff Hardy, and Evan Bourne. So Evan Bourne was always my favorite. So Matt Sydal now. I love him.
I don't blame you. He's definitely one of my favorite ones too. I was a little bit upset when I noticed he was gone for a moment. I was like, "What happened to the guy that used to do the high fly and stuff?"
Same. I was so sad. It like broke my heart. But that's why I do the Meteora and stuff now so much because that's what he does. And I was like,
Oh,
I
that's
want to do
really
something that he
cool.
does. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that. Now, when you think about like you pursuing professional wrestling, how was that process for you when you began training? And say, what did you learn about yourself? Something that you learned that you probably didn't think about until you started training there.
I don't know if that really happened for me. I found a poster or a Facebook event for Newcastle Pro Wrestling when I was 17. And if I knew about Newcastle Pro Wrestling beforehand, I would have signed up earlier, or it was like as early as I could, or at least started going to the shows. But as soon as I found the event, I emailed them about starting training and I went that week. And then I just went completely headfirst into the water, basically. I dove straight in. I was 17 years old, still at school, and put all my time, all my effort into training and going to as many shows as I could to help out and get my name out there. And it worked.
Is
It
it?
worked pretty well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there anything though that you learned about yourself, or even just like something you didn't think about, like wrestling, until you like started training officially?
I'm one of those people where once I've decided to do something, I just kind of make it happen. I think I already knew that, but deciding I wanted to be a wrestler at 10 and then at 17, finding the school, I was like, well, it's just bound to happen, isn't it? Like there's nothing stopping me. So I just went ahead and did it. I do that with
Yeah.
most things. So, like if I want to do this thing, I just keep working until it works out.
I really like that you're like so like focused on that goal once you have it there with you
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
very determined. I don't really think about
Mhm.
anything else. It's good and bad also because it's like, oh, I need to make money and this thing isn't really for that, but I do most of the stuff for fun anyway. So I'm out here
Yeah,
for having fun.
I think most things usually start for fun and starts going into deeper and deeper as it goes by with time. So I
Exactly.
get
And as
that
long as it
too.
stays fun, I'm having a good time and I won't stop.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Um, Thinking about now of, is there any company or any person you haven't wrestled yet that you're interested in doing so? It could be a particular place or a particular company, anything like that.
Oh, I don't know. I've been pretty lucky and I've got to wrestle in the States a few times now. And like
Mhm.
for some really cool companies I've got to work for that have come out here and also me doing it in the States, like Shimmer was always a big goal. And then my first overseas trip for wrestling, I got to tick that box off the list. So that was pretty exciting. That was like the number one goal of I need to work for Shimmer, obviously. Now, company, I'm not too sure. Like, I'd work for pretty much anyone that asks. I'll be like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. So if there's people wanting me, I'm available. People, I've always just wanted to wrestle as many people like as I could. I've been pretty lucky and I've wrestled a lot of people in Australia. So overseas, I mean, I'd love to have a match with Matt Seidel. Talking about him earlier, he's the first one in my mind.
Yeah. Oh, that's a pretty cool one, though. I never thought about that one. Yeah, I'm thinking about even just thinking now about Matt Seidel. Maybe think of this too. Is there or what has been your experience with like intergender wrestling? What have you learned from doing that?
I don't know if I've really learned a lot from it. I just kind of treat it as like I've done that my entire career. I turned up at training and I was the only girl there for a month until Charlie Evans turned up as well. And then obviously we became best friends and worked together a lot. But I've always just been training, jumping in with the guys or the girls or anyone else. Like, so I treat it the same as shows, basically. I haven't really learned much from it because it's just so normal. Like, I don't see it as a big deal.
And thinking about just like women in wrestling, women's wrestling, and like all together, is there a particular moment like when it comes to women's like wrestling that it feels like so historical for you? Like there's something so unforgettable that you always think about this moment when it comes to women's wrestling?
That's such a hard one for me because I try not to separate the two. I try to see it as I am a woman and I'm also a wrestler, but I try not to be like, I'm a women's wrestler. Like, it's completely fine for anyone that wants to be that. But putting that category on me makes it seem like the weight of all of females in wrestling, like the weight is just on my shoulders the whole time. So not only do I have to worry about the match I'm doing or the storyline I'm focusing on, I have to think about all women all the time. And it's like an extra weight for me to bear. So I just try to think like the best part, I think, is the amount of representation that we have in Sydney, especially right now. We have so many females out on our PWA shows, pretty much a female per match, which I think is what we should be aiming for. So that's probably the part I'm most proud of.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that as well, because even being in the US, you always see either no women's matches or maybe one or two, and it's always like hard to see it like progressing in that sort of aspect. So
yeah, right.
Whenever
like
I see,
what are we doing? Come on, guys! Any kind of
right?
promoter that's doing that needs to do something, make it better. Obviously, you're doing something wrong if no females are around you. You know what I mean? Like, it should be an inviting place. You should be doing as much as you can to get representation on your show. That's just how it is.
Yeah, definitely agree on that. And talking about women's wrestling as a whole, I wanted to get into this. You're going to be making history, actually, in just a matter of days, to put it like that, when it comes to PWA, as you will be the first going against Delta, being the first two women to go for the Heavyweight Championship. So how does that feel of you making history in that sort of aspect?
It's cool. I really like it. But everyone keeps saying it's history. I think it's historic as well, but not for the fact that it's two females going against each other. I just think it's going to be historic for the fact that there's two amazing wrestlers out there, mainly Delta, let's be real. She's incredible. That they're going to put on a banger of a show. And it's been put everywhere that it's the first female heavyweight title match, but it's wrong. It isn't. It's not the first. I know it's been advertised all over the place, but
yeah.
I had a match because when I won the PWA Heavyweight Championship, I think my first title defense, or even my first or second, was against Cherry Stevens.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm pretty sure was it for the belt? It must have been. I'm pretty sure it was because I won, so I still have it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure my first title defense was against Cherry Stevens. So it's the second time this has happened. So it's cool that it's just so it's so normalized now that people are forgetting about things. It's like, it's already happened, guys. Keep up.
Yeah, I like that too. Like the way you say, just like it feels more like something more of a norm, to put it like that. And I feel like it's something that should happen a little bit more often. It's like it's not always that you see something like this happening. So it's always like we have to highlight it. And I feel like it should be kind of like motivation for other companies to do something similar as well. Think of like, why are we restricting the women to being only like a sort of like a circle, to put it like that. We gotta think outside this box too. So it's always
No,
nice when
exactly,
when I was like, that's just amazing to think about. It's like it doesn't happen often, but I feel like it should, to be honest. If it should be more normal, to put it like that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it's so like out of my brain as well. Like people keep mentioning it, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about it now. Like even leading up to me beating Ricky South for the heavyweight title,
Mm-hmm.
a few people were like, "Oh, you might be the first ever female champion." I'm like, "Yeah, but what about I am just this is my first time winning it. Like I am an individual as well. Like Jessica Troy is winning the title. I'm not just a women's wrestler. I'm not just this number, not just this like statistic or cool fact. What about me? Like, yeah." So it's cool for it to be a bit more normalized now, especially within PWA, because I think they are really they're really good at doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and thinking about your opponent does that for the PWA Heavyweight Championship, do you have any common stories that they like to let her know before this event happens?
Oh, we've wrestled each other a few times actually.
Mm-hmm.
Down in Melbourne. I don't think we've ever wrestled in Sydney. Oh no, we'd had one tag match in Sydney as well. And I always really, really enjoy working Delta because she's just so different to me. She's so strong, muscly, and big, and I'm not that, which is fine. I'm more technical based. So we just go out there in two different styles clashing in the ring. So I'm really excited for it. And I'm really, really hoping it goes better than the last time we met in the ring because she beat me, sadly. And we can't have that happen again when the PWA Heavyweight Championship's on the line because I won't let that happen. That ain't going to be it.
Yeah. No, I
No,
agree with you. We're not letting that happen.
absolutely not.
Another
She can't have that.
No. Another thing that I wanted to discuss with you is that we recently saw the event that Mickey James hosted her, and you were actually facing Tennille Dashwood, who was very known in the US as well for her move in WWE and NXT. So, how was that like for you wrestling her after her departure from WWE?
It was amazing. So Tennille left for WWE about like right before I started training or like around that time anyway. So it was cool she was like the inspiration or the goal. She was the evidence that I could make it there too because there was an Australian overseas working for WWE doing amazing work, having like fantastic matches with Paige. Like, for example, that match was amazing. So she was like the standard, basically, of Australian wrestling back home. And to be able to step in the ring with her years later, or like, so I've been training for 10 years now. So 10 years later, felt like a full circle kind of moment for me, being like, oh, I get to wrestle this person I really looked up to and I really respect. So it was amazing. And she was just like the coolest person, so easygoing. Yeah, it was great.
And like you mentioned that Tennille being like one of the people that you think about when it comes to Australians, like seeing now, for example, Rhea, who gets highlighted in WWE so often,
Yeah.
and maybe get people like Shazza McKenzie, who gets highlighted in the Indies pretty often. It's like, how does that inspire you to keep going and motivate you to keep going within wrestling?
Oh, they're everything to me. Like Rhea Ripley, seeing everything she's accomplished is like so well deserved because she's just the best human also. So everything that she gets, she works so hard for. She sacrificed so much for. So it's just so lovely to see. Same thing for Shazza. Like she's killing it over there. She's making her own way as well, which I think is so unique. She's showing that you don't need a contract or anything like that to go out and do what you want to do. She's living out there full time, surviving by herself. Like that's all her. So amazing. Yeah, so cool to see. It's like a new wave of inspiration for the new up and coming wrestlers coming in Australia as well, being like, oh, you have this goal, you can try to get a contract in this place or this place or this place. But then if you really want also, you can just work really, really hard, put in all the efforts and get the right credentials and everything and go overseas and wrestle wherever you want. You know, you can be your own wrestler. You can stay here in Australia and wrestle here. It's so many like pathways for us all to take now.
Yeah, and thinking back, like you mentioned, because as I learned about you, knowing that you've been doing this for 10 years now, and now you're a trainer as well. So, what kind of advice do you give to those newcomers, not only like when it comes to the ring, but like working and everything that comes within wrestling?
What advice do I give them? I probably need to start giving them more advice, to be honest. I'm just like, learn how to do a headlock takeover, guys. Let's start at the basics because I teach the beginner class. So we're learning how to break fall, how to bump, how to roll, how to do a headlock takeover. It's all very exciting stuff. I recommend for them to have a goal in mind and keep working towards that goal. Like obviously it can evolve and change over time. That's what happens. Things change. But if you go into wrestling with a goal of my goal is to get on a PWA show, and then that's something they can work on. My goal is to get signed by WWE, then that's something they have to really work towards and put like what I do, tunnel vision, and get determined and focus on this one thing, and then just keep going until you make it to that goal, basically. And any goal is fine. It doesn't have to be the biggest one. It can be, I want to have a training match. That's such a fine goal to have. I think it's really cool to see different levels of what people want to do, and like to come to training, we all work together as one big group working towards each other's individual goals.
And another thing, thinking about now that you've been doing this for quite a while, who are still the people that really inspire you, or like that you go to for when it comes to advice on your end?
There's a few people. People I go for advice. You know who's really cool for that? Like Shazza McKenzie. She raised me as a professional wrestler, I'd say, me and Charlie Evans. Like she took care of us so much for the past 10 years of my career. So she'd be number one. Chris Hero has been really nice. He's always giving me advice via Twitter and all that kind of stuff. He's been so cool. Other people, just like anyone backstage at PWA. So we have like Madison Eagles, Robbie Eagles, even like people, my peers like Ricky South and Will Ketis are always people I go to for advice and like help me put together a promo or help me with a spot in a match and all this kind of stuff. So I'm lucky to be surrounded by so many creative people that any aspect of wrestling, whether it's like character, a spot, a move, a promo, I have these individual people I can go to because they're really good at this part. They're really good at this part. And I'm like, tell me, what should I do here? What should I do here? And you can just morph them all in together. So I'm pretty lucky to be surrounded by such a good community like that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I feel the same way as you. I feel like I have different people for different things, and like little by little, everything comes out complete at the end when you
exactly. And now I'm a complete person. I did it.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to get to that doesn't involve wrestling, but one thing that I learned about you, not only from past interviews, but from talking to my good friend Ella J, is that you're a reader too. And as a fellow reader, I had to ask you these questions because I couldn't let you go without asking.
My favorite questions.
Yes. So being a reader. Yeah, forget about wrestling for a moment. Do you have a favorite like recent read? I don't want to ask for favorite book because I know sometimes that could be hard to ask. But if you have a favorite book too, then I will love that too. My favorite book,
I have a favorite author because I get confused about which one of her books I really like. But my favorite author is Naomi Novik. And she wrote stuff like Uprooted or A Deadly Education and Spinning Silver. It's over there. I can see it. So she's my favorite author, and she does like fantasy, a little bit of romance in there, like a little bit of a treat at the end. So that's the vibe I go for. What's the book? The most recent book I read was Jane Eyre, but I read that for study. I had to read it for uni, so I was like, oh, it was fine. Besides that, what's a good book I read recently? I read the new Ali Hazelwood book, Bride.
Oh yeah, I'm starting that one.
Yeah, it's really good because I love all the books. They're so good. Any kind of romance, you've got me hooked. I love.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely got more into like romance, or like what we call romantasy lately. So that's a little bit of what I've been into. That one is one of those that I've started, but another book took priority, so I had to stop it. But definitely won't continue on reading it because I'm definitely excited for that one. Another one, well, you said favorite author, but I did want to ask, because like how did you get into reading that? What was that moment of like that got you sparked it for you?
I was a big reader growing up at school. I got into Harry Potter, Hunger Games, all those kind of. I didn't read Twilight, but I go back and read it now, to be honest. Yeah. So I read that, and then I kind of stopped for like years and years. And then one day I picked up a book, and I can't even remember what book it was. It might have even been like I was going through a phase of reading like classics. I was reading 1984, and that's The Beach. So those are the ones I remember reading. I was like, oh, I really love reading because the story was so easy to get into, especially 1984. And then I discovered more of my style, which is like romance with maybe some fantasy or historical fiction. So I started reading the Outlander series, and that was amazing. And then I found the standalone books. And I was like, oh, these books are only 300 pages compared to the 1,000 pages I was reading before. So let's just read these short ones, and they're going to be so much easier and fun.
No lie, I had the same kind of experience with reading because I used to read when I was younger, and then going to college, I had a full-time job and a full-time college, so I didn't have time to like read for pleasure, to put it like that, for entertainment. It was mostly school stuff. So once I graduated, I get back into it, and like I said, it's just like the part of like I used to watch YouTube videos, and then now it's TikTok, and I get recommendations like left and right. I feel like I don't have time, like enough time to read all the books that I want to read, and I have a library already as it is. That I don't need any more help. So I definitely get
Right?
where you're
No, I
coming
agree. I
from.
have a whole shelf of books that haven't been read. And I'll go to the bookshop and I'll be like, oh, I need this book now. But I'm like, no, I can't have that book. I need to read these ones, or I need to read the ones on my phone that I've been reading. Like there's so many, like it's endless. Or I need to read my uni readings and all that kind of stuff. And then sometimes I just don't want to read anymore.
No, I definitely feel you on that. I have moments of even my family just tells me, it's like, you have so many books. How many of those I've read? It's like, we're not asking those type of questions. Don't worry about that right now.
Exactly. We're not asking how
We
much
don't
it all
need
adds
to
up
know.
to. It's fine. You don't
No, it's
want to
like, we
worry
don't
about
need
it.
to know that. Don't worry about it. And it's funny because when you have a book, when you think about it, and you're like, oh, this new author that I like Ali Hazel was like, oh, her new book is coming out. Let me read it. You buy it and then don't read it for like years later, even though you just bought it thinking
Right?
that
And
you're
I'm
going
like, why
to
did I
read it
buy
at
this
the
like
moment.
it's the day it came out?
Yeah, I think I've only had a few of them that I bought like during like release week, and I've stopped what I was reading to read them, and I continued on what I was reading beforehand. But it doesn't happen often. It usually takes a while for that to happen.
Sometimes you need
But
to do that though, and I think it's so
yeah,
fun.
yeah, I feel like sometimes I'm kind of the kind of mood reader that if I'm reading a book and it feels like it's okay, but I feel like I need something a little bit different, then I pick up another book and then I go back and forth between both of them. So it's
Oh,
like
you're one
that's
of
been,
those readers. No, I force
yeah.
myself to finish the book. I like power read so I can get to the next one because I can't do two things at once.
I've done it. It just
Otherwise, I get
I'm able
confused.
to
I'm
tell the
like, well, I thought
difference.
we were in this place, but now we're somewhere else. But no, it was in the
Yeah.
other book.
Yeah, I'm those kind of readers. I'm a mood reader, so it's like I feel like if it doesn't have my attention, I may have to read something else so I can get back to having the attention that the other one had on before. So it's like that kind of balance for me. It feels like it doesn't make sense most of the time, but it makes sense for me at least.
As long as it
And
works
that's
for
what
you, that's
happens.
fine.
Yeah, as long as I finish my books, that's all that matters to me.
Exactly. So true.
Yeah. So overall, before I let you go, I wanted to ask from like, where can the people find you? Obviously, aside from the PWA event that you have going on, what else do you have happening soon?
Oh, what else do we have happening soon? Well, for PWA, we have a few shows at like the Crowbar in Sydney and also Mounties out in Liverpool. So that will be really cool. But mainly, I'm just looking forward to this King of the Metro show on the 14th of June, me versus Delta. That's my tunnel vision at the moment, is that match. So I'm very excited. And you can find me on Instagram at Jessica Troy Pro. Same thing as Twitter, it's Jessica Troy Pro, but I'm not on there very much. I don't tweet very often, but I'll go on every now and then, maybe if something's going on, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. It's too many social media platforms to keep up with,
I
to be
know, right?
honest.
I can only handle one at a time. I'm
Yeah.
a sensitive girl.
Yeah, I feel like at least for me, I focus more on Twitter, but I feel like focus more on that one than the rest of them, and the other ones take a backseat. So I always have that back and forth. It's like, stop creating so many
Exactly. I'm happy
platforms. I
just to
don't have time.
post a picture or a reel. There we go. We're done.
No, I definitely get that. But no, I want to thank you for with me and spending your day, because it's day for you. Your day with me like this to
Thank you for
not only
spending your night
discuss
with me.
wrestling. Yes, to discuss wrestling and reading and the PWA. I'm really excited for you to be defending your championship and making this such a like memorable event for everybody. So I'm
Thank
really
you.
happy
Thank
for
you
you
very
and
much.
Delta. Just that's really exciting. So I can't wait to hopefully watch it sometime soon after it happens. Because obviously I won't be awake because of the time zone
So
differences,
true.
but hopefully the day after, if it works out like that. But no, thank you for everybody for watching. If you haven't looked for me, you can find me on my Twitter, which is Astrid Pizarro. My Instagram is Astrid Pizarro 20. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to Body Slam and click on that bell to be notified when we upload, we go live. And then we'll see you next time.